Plans that ask for nothing will give you nothing. And the longer you follow those kinds of plans, the further you drift from the life you say you want. That's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't fail because they don't try. They fail because the way they plan makes it easy to avoid action. They create soft goals, loose routines, and flexible timelines that feel productive, but lead nowhere. If that's been your cycle, this audiobook is here to break it. This isn't about adding more to your schedule. It's about removing the kind of planning that lets you off the hook. It's about rebuilding your structure so that action isn't a maybe. It's the only option. If your progress feels slow, if your goals stay stuck in your head, and if your time keeps slipping without real results, this is exactly where you need to be. Let's change it now. Chapter 1. Look at your plans and feel uneasy. Sit where you are right now and take a quiet look at your plans. Not the plans you talk about in public. Not the plans you tell people when they ask how life is going. The real plans, the ones written down or maybe not written at all, the ones that are supposed to guide your days. When you look at them closely, there is often a feeling that shows up before any thought does. It is a small tight feeling in the chest, a sense of unease. That feeling matters. It is not random. It is your inner judgment speaking before your mouth does. Many people ignore that feeling. They stay busy to avoid it. They scroll. They talk. They distract themselves. But unease is useful. It shows you something is off. When plans are strong, you feel calm. When plans are weak, you feel nervous. When plans are unclear, you feel tired even before the day starts. Life responds to clarity. Life also exposes confusion. Most people think trouble begins when things fall apart. That is not true. Trouble begins when your plans look harmless but do nothing. Trouble begins when plans feel comfortable. Trouble begins when your plans allow you to stay the same without pressure. If your plans do not challenge your daily behavior, then your future is being left to chance. Look closely at your plans and ask simple, honest questions. Do these plans tell me exactly what to do today? Not someday. Not next month, today. Do these plans require effort when I wake up tired? Do these plans force a choice when comfort is calling? If the answer is no, then that uneasy feeling is correct. You are in trouble not because you are lazy or broken, but because your plans are weak. People say they want change, but their plans are designed to protect their current habits. That is a hard truth. A plan that does not disturb your routine is not a plan for growth. It is a wish. Wishes feel good in the moment, but they do not build confidence. Only action builds confidence. Only action earns self-respect. I have met thousands of people and the pattern is clear. When people are losing momentum, their plans are vague. When people are winning, their plans are specific and personal. They know what time they wake up. They know what they work on first. They know what they say no to. They do not rely on feeling ready. They rely on structure. Unease shows up when your plans depend on motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays when it is built correctly. Plans that depend on mood will fail the moment life applies pressure. And life always applies pressure that is not negative. That is reality. Pressure reveals preparation. Look at your plans and notice how much room they leave for delay. Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next year. Years pass quietly that way. No explosion, no warning, just time slipping. The unease grows stronger, but many people mistake it for stress instead of truth. Stress can be managed. Truth must be faced. A solid plan gives relief even when it is hard. A weak plan gives anxiety even when nothing is happening. That is why some people feel restless on quiet days. Their plans are not guiding them. They are floating. And floating feels fine for a while until you realize you are drifting away from the life you wanted. Human psychology is simple here. The mind wants certainty. The heart wants progress. When plans lack direction, both become uneasy. You may sleep but not rest. You may work but not feel fulfilled. You may stay busy but not move forward. Plans should give you a sense of weight, not stress but responsibility. You should feel that something depends on you today. When nothing depends on you today, your energy drops. When something important depends on you, your posture changes, your walk changes, your voice changes. Unease is the signal that nothing is demanding your best. And human beings suffer when their best is not required. Comfort feels good short-term, but it creates long-term dissatisfaction. Growth feels demanding short-term, but it creates long-term peace. Look at your plans and ask whether they respect your potential. Many people insult their own potential with small plans. They set goals that require little courage. Then they wonder why they feel empty. You were designed to stretch. When you do not stretch, the body stiffens. When you do not stretch the mind, it becomes dull. When you do not stretch your character, it weakens. Plans should create a clear picture of tomorrow morning. What happens when the alarm rings? What happens in the first hour? What happens when resistance shows up? If your plans do not answer these questions, then they are not plans. They are hopes written politely. Feeling uneasy is not failure. It is awareness. Awareness is the first sign of growth. Many people never reach that stage. They stay numb. They stay distracted. Unease means you still care. Unease means you are not done. Unease means something inside you expects more. The problem is not that plans are imperfect. The problem is when people refuse to look at them honestly. They defend weak plans because change feels uncomfortable. But the cost of avoiding discomfort is paid later with regret, and regret is heavier than effort. Strong plans are not complicated. They are demanding. They ask for daily proof. They require you to show up even when nobody is watching. They remove excuses by design. They turn intention into behavior. When you look at your plans and feel uneasy, do not run from that feeling. Sit with it. Let it speak. It might say you have been playing safe. It might say you have been waiting for permission. It might say you have been confusing activity with progress. Listen carefully. The most dangerous plans are the ones that sound good but change nothing. Reading about growth without practicing, talking about discipline without structure, planning success without deadlines. These plans soothe the ego but starve the future. A plan should make you slightly uncomfortable because it asks you to become someone stronger. If your plans never raise your heart rate, they will never raise your standards. Standards determine results. Results shape identity. Identity shapes destiny. Human beings change when pain of staying the same becomes stronger than fear of change. Unease is the early stage of that pain. It is gentle at first. If ignored, it grows louder. Life will eventually force the lesson if you refuse to learn it willingly. So take that uneasy feeling seriously. Write down what is missing. Write down what you avoid. Write down what your plans do not demand from you. Then redesign them to require daily action, not perfection. Action. Plans should create momentum. Momentum creates belief. Belief fuels effort. Effort compounds into results. Results change how you see yourself. And how you see yourself determines how high you are willing to aim. You do not need dramatic plans. You need honest ones. Plans that tell the truth about your habits and challenge them. Plans that remove comfort without removing hope. Plans that respect your time by using it well. When plans are right, you wake up with purpose even on hard days. When plans are wrong, you wake up tired even after rest. The difference is not talent. It is design. Look at your plans and feel uneasy. That moment is powerful. It is the doorway to change. Step through it with courage and clarity. Strengthen your plans and your confidence will follow. Life responds quickly when direction becomes clear. Chapter 2. Notice how nothing forces real action. Take a calm, honest look at how your days are set up. Not your dreams, not your intentions, the actual structure of your life. What you may notice if you slow down long enough is this quiet truth. Nothing is pushing you to act. Nothing is demanding follow through. Nothing is forcing movement. And that is where real danger begins. Human beings respond to pressure. Not fake pressure. Real pressure. When there is no consequence attached to delay, the mind chooses comfort every time. That is not weakness. That is wiring. If your plans do not create pressure, your behavior will default to ease, and ease over time becomes stagnation. Most people think they lack motivation. That is rarely the issue. The real issue is that their plans allow delay without cost. When action is optional, action becomes rare. When effort is negotiable, effort disappears. Life does not reward good intentions. Life responds to action taken under commitment. Look at a typical day. What truly must be done? Not what should be done. Not what would be nice to do. What must be done, or something breaks. For many people, the list is short. Pay bills, show up to work. Everything else floats. Health floats, learning floats, growth floats, and floating never builds strength. When nothing forces action, the mind begins to lie gently. Tomorrow sounds reasonable, later feels harmless, next week seems responsible. These are not bad thoughts. They are unchallenged thoughts. A strong plan interrupts these thoughts. A weak plan allows them to rule. People often confuse freedom with lack of structure. True freedom comes from discipline chosen early, not chaos endured later. When you build days that demand action, you earn freedom of confidence. When you avoid structure, you inherit anxiety. Anxiety is the tax paid for unclear commitments. Notice how often plans rely on feeling ready, feeling focused, feeling inspired. Those feelings are unreliable. They come after action, not before it. Waiting to feel ready keeps people waiting forever. A plan that depends on emotion will collapse under stress. Strong plans create moments where you have no choice but to act. The alarm goes off and the task is scheduled. The workout is booked with someone waiting. The deadline is public. The work session is blocked and defended. These moments remove debate. Debate drains energy. Action builds energy. When nothing forces action, every decision becomes a negotiation with comfort. Comfort is persuasive. Comfort uses reasonable language. Comfort says rest is earned before effort. Comfort says preparation matters more than execution. Comfort sounds kind but steals years quietly. You do not rise to the level of desire. You fall to the level of design. Design decides behavior. When willpower runs out, willpower always runs out. Design remains. Look closely and notice how your plans protect your ego. Plans without deadlines allow you to feel productive without producing. Plans without measurement allow you to feel disciplined without proof. Plans without accountability allow you to avoid discomfort while calling it patience. Real action requires friction. It requires moments where quitting would feel embarrassing. It requires standards that do not bend to mood. When plans remove friction, they remove growth. Human psychology seeks relief before reward unless trained otherwise. That training comes from repeated exposure to effort followed by progress. Plans that force action create this loop. Plans that allow delay break it. Many people fill notebooks with ideas but never feel tired from effort. They feel tired from thinking. Thinking without doing creates mental fatigue without progress. Doing creates physical tiredness with satisfaction. One builds pride, the other builds frustration. When nothing forces action, time fills with noise, notifications, conversations, entertainment. These are not evil. They become destructive only when they replace effort. A strong plan decides in advance when noise is allowed and when work comes first. Notice how often people say they are busy but cannot name what they are building. Busy without direction is motion without meaning. Action without aim exhausts. Aim without action disappoints. Plans exist to connect the two. If your plans do not force action, they will never force growth. Growth happens when effort meets resistance. Resistance is avoided when plans are flexible in the wrong places. Flexibility should exist in method, not commitment. People underestimate how much progress depends on removal of choice. Decision fatigue destroys discipline. A plan that removes daily decisions protects energy. You do not decide whether to act. You only decide how to act. Notice how successful people speak about their days. They use words like scheduled, set, locked in. Not because they are rigid, but because they respect time. Time disrespects those who treat it casually. When nothing forces, action days blend together. Memory fades because nothing stood out. Weeks pass without markers. Years pass without milestones. Then suddenly there is urgency but no foundation. Pressure applied early prevents crisis later. Discipline practiced quietly prevents regret loudly. This is not about being harsh. It is about being honest. A plan should corner you kindly. It should leave no escape routes to excuses. It should make inaction uncomfortable enough that action feels like relief. Notice how your environment supports delay. Soft chairs, endless screens, no visible goals, no visible progress tracking. Environment shapes behavior more than intention. Plans should redesign environment to support action. When people finally act, they often say it was simpler than expected. That is because complexity was never the problem. Avoidance was plans that force action expose this truth quickly. Accountability is not punishment. It is clarity. When someone else expects action, you show up differently. Use that. Design plans that include witnesses, not critics. Witnesses. Real action often begins before confidence. Confidence follows proof. Proof comes from action. Waiting reverses the order and stalls everything. Notice how children learn. They act first. They fall. They adjust. Adults overthink and delay. Plans should return you to action-based learning. Nothing forces real action. When plans are built to avoid failure instead of build skill, failure teaches. Avoidance weakens. Plans that force action accept mistakes as tuition. If your plans allow you to end the day without visible effort, something is wrong. Effort should leave a trace. Notes taken. Body tired. Skill practiced. Progress measured. Notice how relief feels better after effort. Rest tastes different when earned. Sleep deepens. Satisfaction replaces restlessness. These are signals of correct living. Life does not ask for perfection. It responds to commitment. Commitment shows up as action taken when excuses were available but ignored. If nothing forces action today, tomorrow will not force it either. Force must be designed intentionally, thoughtfully, firmly. The moment you notice nothing forces real action is the moment responsibility returns to you. That moment is uncomfortable. That discomfort is the starting point of strength. Build plans that demand proof. Build days that require effort. Build systems that remove negotiation. When action becomes the path of least resistance, progress becomes inevitable. This is not about pressure for pressure's sake. It is about aligning behavior with desire. Desire without action becomes disappointment. Action without delay becomes momentum. Notice the gap, then close it deliberately. That is how lives change. Chapter 3. Replace hopeful thinking with scheduled effort. Take a moment and look at the things you keep saying you want. The goals that matter to you, the ones that have been on your mind for weeks, maybe months, possibly even years. The ones you keep hoping will happen. Maybe it's getting healthier. Maybe it's building something meaningful. Maybe it's finally doing the thing you promised yourself last year. Now ask yourself this: when exactly are you doing it? What day? What time? What's the actual schedule? Because most people live in a loop of hopeful thinking. They keep telling themselves something good is coming, that they'll do it soon, that maybe next week they'll get serious. They think the desire alone will move things. But desire without structure does nothing. It just stays stuck in the mind, replaying itself again and again while life keeps moving forward. Hope feels good, but it does not create change. Scheduled effort does. Look around and you'll notice that the people who make consistent progress aren't always the smartest, the most talented, or even the most motivated. But they show up. And they show up because they have a schedule. They don't rely on hope. They don't wait until the mood is perfect or the stars align. They set the time. They respect the time. They work the plan. Hope can be a dangerous trap when it replaces planning. You tell yourself you're going to write the book, start the gym routine, build the business, fix your finances. But if it's not on a schedule, then it's just a wish. And life doesn't respond to wishes. Life responds to action. Real action. Not the kind you fantasize about late at night, but the kind you commit to even when you're tired, uncomfortable, or uncertain. A schedule doesn't care how you feel. That's what makes it powerful. It keeps you honest. You can feel lazy and still show up. You can feel insecure and still do the work. You can feel overwhelmed and still take one step. Scheduled effort removes the need for emotional permission. People often think their problem is procrastination. But it's deeper than that. It's a lack of structure. It's an over-reliance on hope. They want the outcome without designing the process. But results come from what's repeated, not what's imagined. What's on your calendar determines what becomes real. If your effort is not scheduled, your life is being run by emotion and circumstance. And when you rely on emotion and circumstance, you're inconsistent by default. You'll have good days, but you'll also have long stretches of delay. And delay becomes your identity if you're not careful. You start to think maybe you're just not that kind of person. But the truth is, you never gave yourself a real system. Let's get practical. What are your goals now? Open your calendar. Where do they live? If they don't live there, you don't really own them. You're renting the idea of change, but you're not investing in it. Scheduled effort is the rent you pay for growth. You don't get strong by thinking about lifting weights. You get strong by putting the reps on the calendar and doing them. You don't get financially free by hoping to make money. You get there by scheduling time to study, build, create, and review. Every result that matters is built through effort that lives in time, not just in your mind. When people say, "I'll try," what they usually mean is, "I don't have a schedule yet." Trying without scheduling is like planting seeds in the air. Nothing grows. You need soil. You need water. You need timing. Your schedule is the soil of your effort. It grounds your intention into something visible. This is why so many smart, talented people feel stuck. They have incredible ideas, but no system of action. They wait for energy. They wait for inspiration. They wait for signs, but they don't wait for appointments with other people. They show up for meetings. They show up for work hours, but they don't show up for themselves. That has to change. You need to treat your goals like you treat other people's time. Put them on the calendar. Respect the time. Protect it. Don't reschedule it for something more urgent. Most urgent things aren't important, and most important things don't scream. They wait silently, hoping you'll notice them before it's too late. Think about how you've handled things that really mattered in the past. The ones you followed through on. The ones that changed your life. What was different? You probably had a set time. You had reminders. You had commitment. You were consistent, not just excited. Excitement fades. Scheduling stays. And yes, life is unpredictable. Things come up. But without a structure, everything becomes an excuse. Structure is not about control. It's about direction. Without direction, you move, but you don't arrive anywhere. You're busy, but not effective. You're active, but not progressing. So, how do you build a plan based on scheduled effort? You begin by looking at your week and carving out time that belongs to your goals. Start small. Don't try to schedule your whole life in one day. Choose one important thing and make it non-negotiable. Then do it again the next day. Stack the wins. Let consistency become your new identity. Make effort predictable. Don't wait for clarity. Movement brings clarity. Most people are trying to figure out the entire road before taking the first step. That's not how real progress works. The first step makes the second step visible. When you wait, your mind creates problems that don't exist. When you move, your mind solves real ones. And don't confuse information with progress. Reading this isn't change. Thinking deeply isn't change. Planning is not change. Action is change. Scheduled action is sustained change. Build a routine that supports the life you say you want. If your current routine doesn't support it, your routine is lying to you. There's a quiet power in knowing exactly what you're doing and when. It builds trust with yourself. That trust grows over time and becomes belief. Belief becomes strength, and strength makes it easier to face resistance when it shows up, and it will show up. No one escapes discomfort, but discomfort with direction is very different from discomfort caused by delay. The first makes you stronger. The second wears you down. When you act without structure, you doubt yourself constantly. But when your effort is scheduled, even hard days feel purposeful. Start now. Choose a time today and block it. Use it. Don't overthink it. Just begin. Even 10 minutes done on purpose will feel better than another day of vague hope. And once you see what scheduled effort gives you, you'll never trade it again for passive wishing. You have the power to shape your time. And by shaping your time, you shape your future. That's not a theory. That's reality. So replace the hope, build the schedule, keep the promise, do the work. That's how change becomes who you are. Chapter 4. Turn ideas into deadlines you respect. Everyone has ideas. Ideas are free. They come at night when you're thinking about changing your life. They come in the shower. They come when you're frustrated with your routine. They show up when you feel behind or uninspired or left out. And when the ideas come, they feel powerful. You picture yourself living differently. You imagine the outcome. It feels good. You say you'll start soon. You believe it's possible. But then the days pass, the weeks slip by, and nothing changes. Because ideas without deadlines are dreams without direction. They give you a rush of hope, but no pathway. That's why people feel stuck even when they're planning. Planning feels productive, but if those plans don't lead to a real deadline, they collapse into nothing. You cannot move forward on belief alone. Movement begins when time is attached. Not someday, a date, a time, a finish line. You must stop treating your ideas like decoration. You must treat them like responsibility. That begins when you decide when they must be done. If there's no real when, there will be no real result. Open calendars don't build anything. Specific deadlines do. The problem is never lack of ideas. The real problem is the refusal to get specific about commitment. The most successful people you see don't have more ideas than you. They have more deadlines. They write the due date before the doubt can speak. They respect the clock. They give their ideas structure. They remove the option to keep pushing it to next week. People love to say they work well under pressure. But that pressure doesn't magically show up. It has to be built. If you never assign a deadline to your ideas, you'll never experience the healthy pressure that drives focus. And without pressure, your attention drifts. You get lost in distraction. You overthink. You forget why you started. That's not because your idea was bad. It's because it didn't have a finish line pulling you forward. Most people overestimate what they can do in one burst of motivation. And underestimate what they can accomplish with steady deadlines across weeks or months. You don't need to do it all today, but you do need to decide when it will be done. If you say soon, that's not real. Soon is not a time. It's a delay in disguise. Start using real numbers, real hours, real days. Deadlines aren't punishment, they're tools. They turn foggy thoughts into real plan. They transform ideas from wishes into action steps. Without a deadline, you can lie to yourself endlessly. You can feel busy without being effective. You can feel like you're building something without ever seeing results. But a deadline ends the pretending. It asks for progress, not promises. You need to become someone who respects their own timeline. That means if you say you'll finish it by Friday, you finish it by Friday. Not because someone will yell at you, but because your word matters to you. Most people are only accountable when other people are watching. But true change begins when you hold yourself to your own word. Look back at the things you said you wanted a year ago. Now ask yourself why they're not done. Be honest. Most likely there was no deadline, or the deadline kept moving, or it was so loose that nothing actually changed. That's not laziness. That's the cost of soft timelines. A respected deadline is not just a due date. It's a promise to act no matter how you feel. Because feelings change. Some days you'll feel strong. Some days you won't. But a deadline doesn't ask how you feel. It asks if you finished what you said you would. And that kind of structure is what forces you to grow. When you have real deadlines, your brain learns to focus. You stop wasting time. You prioritize better. You make clearer choices. You stop trying to do everything and start doing what matters. Because now the clock is ticking. And when the clock is ticking, you stop hiding behind overthinking. You stop trying to be perfect. You just start. That's how things get built. If you've been stuck on the same idea for too long, ask yourself this: when is it due? If the answer is vague, then it's no surprise that you're not moving. Vague timelines create vague effort. Clear timelines create real movement. You don't need more time. You need more urgency. And here's what most people miss. Urgency isn't stress. It's clarity. It's waking up knowing exactly what must get done today. It's peace that comes from direction. It's the calm that replaces chaos. You feel more grounded when you have a real timeline, because now your days mean something. Even when you fail to meet a deadline, you learn, you adjust, you get better. But if you never set it, you never grow. You stay safe in planning mode. And planning mode feels good but delivers nothing. The courage is in assigning the finish date before you feel ready. You also don't need to announce your deadlines to the world, but you do need to treat them like they matter. Put them where you can see them. Review them. Plan around them. Let them guide your weeks. This isn't about pressure to be perfect. It's about pressure to be consistent. There will always be reasons to push things back. But every time you delay a self-s deadline, you weaken your trust in yourself. You teach your mind that your word can be broken without consequence. And over time that erodes self-respect. That's why small wins with real deadlines build something bigger than momentum. They build belief. You won't need motivation every day. If you train yourself to honor deadlines, because honoring a deadline isn't about how you feel. It's about who you've chosen to be. It's not discipline for the sake of suffering. It's commitment for the sake of becoming. When you respect your deadlines, people begin to respect your time. You get more done in less time. You stop saying yes to things that don't align, because now your schedule has meaning. Your days have weight. You stop floating. You start building. Most importantly, your ideas stop feeling like far-off dreams. They begin to take form. They begin to gain shape. They move from your mind to your life. Not because of inspiration, not because of luck, but because you did the real work of setting the timeline and sticking to it. So start today. Pick one idea, any idea. Don't just say you'll work on it. Decide when it's done. Make it real. Write it down. Put it on the calendar. Break it into steps and follow through. Even if it's hard, especially when it's hard. That's the moment things begin to shift. Not when you believe more, but when you commit stronger. The difference between stuck and moving isn't energy. It's a date that means something. Turn your ideas into deadlines you respect. That's where the change begins. Chapter 5. Stop planning weeks you never follow. You plan your week with good intentions. You write down goals, list out tasks, maybe even color code a few things. Monday looks productive. Tuesday feels possible. Wednesday is packed. By Thursday, the list is untouched. By Friday, you feel behind. Saturday turns into guilt. Sunday becomes hope again. And next week, you do it all over. The truth is, you're not just wasting time. You're wearing down your belief in yourself. Planning a week you never follow is not harmless. It's not just disorganization. It's a slow erosion of self-respect. Every time you say you'll do something and don't, You teach your mind that your word doesn't carry weight. It sounds harsh, but it's real. When your plans don't mean anything to you, they lose all value. They become decoration, not direction. This isn't a problem of laziness. Most people don't want to fail. They want to follow through. They want to feel the power of completing what they start. But the structure they use works against them. They plan too much. They plan without context. They plan based on how they wish life would go, not how it actually works. If your plans ignore your energy levels, your work schedule, your sleep, your patterns, your weaknesses, and your distractions, they will collapse. You're not a robot. You're human. And that means your systems need to be designed around how you function in the real world, not in fantasy. Planning a week that's impossible to follow isn't ambitious. It's irresponsible. It makes you feel like a failure even when you're trying. Because the problem isn't that you don't work hard. It's that your plans are too disconnected from how your days really go. They expect a version of you that doesn't exist. You don't need more apps. You don't need a better planner. You need a better relationship with your time. Start by facing the facts. How many hours are you actually free in a day? Take out sleep, work, commuting, responsibilities, meals, and real rest. What's left? That's your capacity. That's the real space you can work with. Don't plan beyond it. Respect it. Planning well isn't about writing a list. It's about making decisions. What won't happen this week? What can wait? What gets done first, even if you're tired? Real planning has limits. If everything's a priority, then nothing is. You have to choose, not because you're weak, but because you're human. You also have to stop planning out of guilt. Don't make a packed schedule just because you feel behind. That kind of planning is emotional, not effective. You don't catch up by writing more down. You catch up by following through on fewer, more focused tasks. Choose 3 non-negotiables this week, not the 20th of May. Look at your past few weeks and be brutally honest. What did you actually do? What patterns repeat? When do you lose focus? What time of day do you feel drained? When do you make excuses? Those answers are gold. Build your plan around that. Not what sounds good, but what works for you. Planning should feel like strategy, not fantasy. It should bring relief, not pressure. If your schedule makes you anxious just by looking at it, it's already failed. A good plan gives you direction and space. It creates momentum, not stress. If your calendar is full, but your progress is empty, something is broken. Don't keep filling the space. Fix the system. You need structure that forces clarity. What are you building this week? What matters? What doesn't? When are you doing it? For how long? If you can't answer those questions without guessing, your plan is already leaking energy. Stop copying what you see online. Someone else's morning routine won't save your week. Productivity is personal. What works for someone else might destroy your flow. Take the parts that fit, leave the rest. Your schedule needs to support your goals, not impress strangers. Accountability matters. Don't keep your plans private if you keep breaking them. Tell a friend. Share it publicly. Set a reminder that actually pings. Make the deadline matter to more than just you. We are far more likely to follow through when someone else knows we said we would. You have to take your plan seriously before they start working. If you treat them like loose suggestions, they'll stay that way. But if you attach meaning to them, if you look at your schedule and think this is a promise I keep, everything changes. It's not about rigid control. It's about respect for your time, for your focus, for your life. Start small. If your past weeks have fallen apart, don't try to plan another perfect one. Plan one solid day, then repeat it. Build momentum by winning early. You don't need a flawless week. You need one day where you follow through completely. Then stack that. That's how real consistency is built. Make space for reality. Leave buffers in your day. Not every hour needs to be filled. You'll need time for unexpected moments, tired eyes, bad moods, and real life. A flexible plan is not a weak plan. It's a smart one. If you keep planning full weeks and finishing none, you're not planning, you're lying. It feels safe in the moment. But over time, it creates a pattern of quitting. You become used to dropping things halfway. You normalize not finishing, and that bleeds into everything. The way you plan your time shapes how you see yourself. When your days are full of missed tasks and rolled over goals, you start believing you're unreliable. But you're not. You're just building your schedule wrong. You're not supposed to finish everything. You're supposed to finish what matters. So start building weeks around priorities, not pressure, around clarity, not guilt, around effort you can sustain, not hustle you can't repeat. The goal isn't to be busy. The goal is to be effective. And being effective means doing the work you said you would. Even if it's less than what you hoped, even if it takes longer than you planned. Progress always beats perfection, so stop setting yourself up to fail. Stop writing plans you never follow. Start creating days you can win. Build weeks you're proud to complete. Not because they were packed, but because they were real and you showed up for all of them. That's how you take control of your life again. One honest week at a time. Chapter 6. Build days that cannot be ignored. You wake up and the day is already slipping. You check your phone. You scroll for a while. You say you'll start soon. Then it's noon. Then it's late afternoon. You promise yourself you'll make up for it tomorrow. But tomorrow looks a lot like today. Quiet, unclear, easy to ignore. Nothing about it demands your focus. Nothing about it demands your best. That's the problem. You're not building a day that pulls you in. You're drifting through hours that have no meaning. If your days are forgettable, your future will be forgettable, too. The life you want isn't built by random hours or loose intentions. It's built by strong days, clear days, days that hold you to a higher standard. If your day doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. That's the truth. People look at goals and outcomes, but all those goals are made possible by what you do from morning to night. Your daily system is your destiny. Most people are not failing because they're lazy. They're failing because their days are empty of structure. They have a lot of space but no pressure. They have time but no direction. They tell themselves they're busy. But when you look closely, the hours aren't doing anything important. They aren't shaping anything. They aren't building anything. And that's dangerous because time feels like it's passing, but nothing real is changing. A strong day cannot be ignored. It calls you to action. It keeps you honest. It makes you aware of what matters. You can't coast through it because it asks something from you. It's not about hustle. It's about clarity. You know what needs to happen. You know when it starts. You know how long it takes, and most importantly, you know why it matters. Without that kind of structure, days disappear. They blend into each other. You can't remember what you did yesterday because you didn't decide what it was for. You didn't build anything. You reacted. You responded to texts. You opened your inbox. You answered a few calls, but you didn't lead the day. The day led you. You have to start designing days that leave a mark. You should be able to look back at the end of the day and point to something that got better, something you pushed, something you created, something you didn't want to do but did anyway. These are the moments that shift identity. You don't need a life overhaul. You need a clear day. Build your days with intention. Don't fill them with tasks. Fill them with focus. It's not about being busy. It's about being deliberate. Start the day with one key action. Something that moves your life forward. Something that connects to your goals. Then schedule it. Block the time. Make it non-negotiable. Build around it. Let the rest of the day serve it, not replace it. Don't wait for motivation. That comes later. The design of the day comes first. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your schedule. If your day is loose, your behavior will be scattered. If your day is tight, your focus becomes sharp. Most people fail not because they're unwilling, but because their day doesn't hold them accountable. You need triggers, cues, start times, deadlines, routines. These are not restrictions. They're anchors. They bring your attention back when it wanders. They create stability when your emotions shift. They give you something to stand on when you're tired or distracted. Without anchors, you float. And floating never leads to real results. Build the start of your day with force. Don't ease into it. Begin with action. Whether it's movement, work, reflection, or progress, make it intentional. The first hour sets the tone. If it's weak, the rest follows. If it's strong, everything else lines up. Momentum is emotional. It builds fast, but it disappears just as quickly if you let the morning drift. You also need clarity at the end of your day. Review what happened. Don't go to bed confused. Don't guess if the day mattered. Know it. Did you show up? Did you follow through? Did you move forward? If the answer is no, be honest. Don't excuse it. Learn from it. Adjust tomorrow. This is how progress becomes sustainable. Strong days are not about doing more. They're about doing the right thing. One clear action done consistently beats 10 tasks done randomly. You don't need to fill your calendar. You need to fill your effort with purpose. Pick fewer things. Do them completely. Cut the noise. Make your days visible. Track them. Use a journal. Use a wall. Use your calendar. See the days stack. One strong day becomes 2. Then a week. Then a month. Then you wake up one morning and realize you've changed. Not because you hoped, but because you built days that couldn't be ignored. You also need to protect your day. That means saying no more often. Saying no to what doesn't matter. Saying no to what interrupts. Saying no to what drains your focus. People will try to borrow your time. Be careful who you give it to. Every yes has a cost. Create boundaries. Set work hours even if you work for yourself. Set phone limits. Set time for silence. If your day has no boundaries, it has no power. You become available to everyone and focused on nothing. That doesn't lead to success. It leads to burnout and regret. Make your environment support your day. If your space is cluttered, your mind is scattered, clean your desk, set the lighting, minimize distractions. Let the room reflect your intention. If your environment invites laziness, your behavior will follow. Strong days are not about being perfect. You will have off days. That's part of being human. But even on those days, you can keep one commitment. Even when you're low, you can follow through on one task. That's what keeps your identity from slipping. You're not trying to win every hour. You're trying to stay in motion. Most people try to fix their year. Fix your day. Instead, the day is the unit of change. It's small enough to control, but big enough to matter. You can't control outcomes. You can control today, and that control compounds. The results will come, but only if the day becomes strong first. You know what it feels like to drift, to waste time, to put things off. That feeling eats at you. You can silence it with distraction, but it never goes away. The only way to defeat it is with action, not massive action, consistent action. And that action lives inside the structure of your day. So build a day that has weight. One that asks something from you. One that makes you feel it, not just pass through it. Don't wait for the perfect time to start. Design the time. Define the time. Use the time. And don't let it slip without something to show for it. Build days that cannot be ignored, because those are the days that build a life that cannot be forgotten. Chapter 7. Add pressure where comfort dominates choices. There are areas in your life where comfort quietly runs the show. You make choices that feel safe. You avoid tasks that stretch you. You repeat patterns that protect your energy but weaken your progress. You stay in routines that don't ask for your full attention. These habits are not mistakes. They're defaults. But over time, comfort becomes a trap that sounds like logic. You start to believe you're making smart decisions when really you're avoiding discomfort. Comfort says, take it easy today. You've earned it. Comfort says, you'll do it later. There's no rush. Comfort says, don't worry about pushing yourself. You're doing fine. But that voice becomes dangerous when it becomes automatic. It creates a lifestyle that looks stable but feels hollow. You feel the weight of potential you're not using. You feel the tension between what you do and what you know you could be doing. And no matter how much you try to ignore it, it doesn't go away. Comfort dominates where there is no pressure. That's the problem. You can have goals, you can talk about change, but if nothing forces different behavior, nothing changes. You stay in the same cycle because the environment doesn't ask for more. You've created space that rewards staying the same. And that's where pressure becomes your friend. Pressure has a bad reputation. People think it's stress, but pressure and stress are different. Stress is what happens when you're reacting. Pressure is what happens when you choose to act on purpose. You can design pressure. You can control it. You can use it to elevate your effort. Pressure is what turns effort from optional to required. To grow, you have to add pressure where you usually choose comfort. You have to introduce accountability into areas you've left unchallenged. You have to stop allowing yourself to float through habits that keep you small. This means doing what you normally postpone. It means committing publicly. It means raising the stakes. If you want to work out more, sign up for the class. Schedule the trainer. Tell a friend to check in. Don't just write it in your planner and hope you'll feel like it. That's not pressure. That's another soft promise. If you want to create something, set a real deadline. Share the timeline. Make it uncomfortable to miss. If you want to learn, book the time and remove distractions. Make the environment silent and the task the only option. Pressure removes escape routes. It doesn't give you room to keep saying later. It shortens the gap between thought and action. And once that gap is gone, progress speeds up. You begin to build identity around follow-through, not feelings. You can't wait to feel ready. You have to move before you're comfortable. That's how new habits are formed. People often say they'll change when they're more confident or when life slows down. But those are lies we tell to stay where we are. Life doesn't slow down and confidence doesn't come first. Action does. One of the most important changes you can make is learning to add self-created pressure in the exact places you usually hesitate. If you avoid speaking up, put yourself in situations that force it. If you dodge structure, commit to routines that require showing up. If you make excuses about time, track every hour and prove it to yourself. You don't need to wait for a crisis to wake you up. You can create urgency on your own. That's maturity. That's discipline. That's what high standards look like. You no longer need external chaos to push you into action. You build systems that push you forward with intention. Think about the areas in your life where you say things like, I know I should, or I'll get to it, or it's just hard to stay consistent. Those are signs that comfort is winning. That's where pressure needs to be applied. Don't avoid these places. Run straight into them. Not recklessly, but strategically. Comfort is clever. It will disguise itself as patience, kindness, even wisdom. It will say, take care of yourself, when what you really need is to challenge yourself. You have to know when you're genuinely resting and when you're hiding from growth. One leads to renewal, the other leads to regret. Start small, but be honest. Set time limits on tasks you've been dragging out. Add reminders that are loud and hard to ignore. Set meetings with people who will ask you if you're actually doing what you said. Remove the safety net where it's no longer serving you. This isn't about being hard on yourself. It's about being real with yourself. Most progress happens when the right amount of pressure meets a clear goal. Too much and you burn out. Too little and you check out. But when the pressure is just enough, it sharpens you. It gets you moving. It keeps you focused. When you add pressure, you also add meaning. Tasks that were once passive become purposeful. You begin to care more about the outcome because you're more invested in the process. You're no longer casually thinking about change. You're actually changing. This shift is internal. No one can make it for you. You have to choose it. You have to decide that comfort isn't worth the cost. That nothing feels better than knowing you showed up fully. That you can sleep easier, not because you avoided effort, but because you gave effort on purpose. Look back on your life and you'll notice something. The seasons you grew the most weren't the easiest. They were the times you faced resistance and kept moving anyway. That didn't happen by accident. It happened because something or someone applied pressure. You can wait for life to do it again. Or you can start doing it for yourself now. Adding pressure isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters, with intensity, with focus, with purpose. It's about living with direction, not delay. It's about building a life that moves forward by choice, not by chance. You will never know what you're capable of until you operate beyond your comfort. You don't find that version of yourself through thinking. You find it through challenge, through action, through accountability, through systems that don't give you space to hide. That version of you already exists. It's waiting on the other side of pressure. Not pressure that breaks you, but pressure that shapes you. Add it where it's needed. Hold it where it matters. And watch what starts to shift. Chapter 8. Remove plans that protect your ego. You create plans that sound ambitious. You write them in neat notebooks or enter them in apps that track goals and deadlines. They look good. They feel smart. They impress people when you talk about them, but deep down, you know what they really are. They're not plans meant to move your life forward. They're plans meant to protect your ego. They exist to help you feel like you're making progress without requiring the discomfort of actual change. Plans that protect your ego are soft. They're built with vague intentions, not real decisions. They give you the illusion of control without demanding risk. They are structured in ways that make failure easy to avoid and success impossible to measure. And that's exactly why they're so dangerous. They keep you stuck while convincing you that you're doing something important. Look at the plans you keep repeating. The ones you never finish. The ones you always say you'll start next week. The ones that live in journals, not in action. Those are not plans. Those are emotional protection. You wrote them when you were inspired. You reviewed them when you felt lost, but you never executed. Not because you couldn't, but because they were never designed to challenge you. The ego hates exposure. It hates being wrong. It hates falling short. So instead of facing that, it builds strategies that shield you from the real work. You set goals that are hard to track. You create routines with no urgency. You spread your focus across too many projects, so you always have a reason for why you're not making progress. You tell yourself you're preparing. You tell yourself you're waiting for the right time, but really, you're avoiding the discomfort of being fully responsible. Plans that protect your ego give you an exit. Plans that serve your growth give you accountability. One makes you feel safe. The other makes you honest, and honesty is the starting point of real change. Not inspiration, not motivation, just facing what is actually happening. You need to audit your goals, not by how good they sound, but by what they demand from you. If your plan lets you stay the same, it's not a growth plan. If your plan allows you to keep habits that don't challenge you, it's not serious. If your plan doesn't bring resistance into your life, it's not going to work. You don't need to plan harder. You need to plan braver. That means setting targets that expose your lack of focus. That means creating deadlines that don't move when you're tired. That means picking one goal instead of 5 and risking the feeling of being behind. It means not protecting your identity with the excuse of being too busy or too overwhelmed. It means removing all the soft language that lets you stay where you are. If your plan feels safe, it's probably not helping you. Safe plans keep you in your comfort zone. They let you dream big without doing big. They let you talk about your potential without proving it. That's not strategy. That's fear dressed up as discipline. It takes courage to build a plan that challenges you because now you're responsible. Now there's no one to blame. No lack of time to hide behind. No clever work count. Just you and the effort. That level of ownership isn't for your ego. It's for your future. Start looking at your plans like an outsider. Ask yourself, if someone else gave me this plan, would I believe they're serious? Would I trust that they'll follow through, or would I see all the holes? The soft commitments, the half-efforts, the lack of precision, the space built in for excuses. Plans that protect your ego are clever. They use big words. They include vague phrases like work on it, get better at, or start focusing more. These aren't actions. These are idea. If your plan doesn't include what you're doing, when you're doing it, and what happens if you don't, it's not real. Real plans are measurable. You know when they're being followed and when they're not. There's no guessing. There's no hiding. You either did it or you did. That's uncomfortable at first, but that's what makes it valuable. You begin to hold yourself to a different standard. Not perfection, but honesty. The hardest part isn't writing the new plan. It's letting go of the old ones. The ones you've attached identity to. The ones that made you feel smart. The ones that gave you something to say when people asked what you were working on. Letting go of those plans means admitting they didn't work. It means facing the time you lost. It means forgiving yourself for avoiding action. That's not easy, but it's necessary. You can't move forward if you're carrying plans that were never meant to be lived out. You need to clean house. Delete goals that aren't specific. Remove tasks that don't connect to what you want long-term. Cut commitments that only exist to make you look busy. What's left will probably look smaller. That's good. Small and real beats big and fake every time. What remains will be sharp, focused, demanding, but it will also be freeing. You'll stop carrying the pressure of false ambition. You'll stop managing a 100 empty intention. You'll start doing the work for real. Your ego will resist this. It will say you're not ready. It will say you're giving up. It will say the old plans weren't the problem. You just didn't try hard enough. Don't listen. The ego will do anything to avoid the feeling of failure. But failure isn't the enemy. Staying stuck is removing ego-based plans, isn't giving up on your goals. It's clearing the space to finally achieve them. It's the moment you trade approval for growth. You stop trying to look like you're building something and actually build it quietly day by day with no need to prove anything. You owe yourself a life built on truth, not performance. You owe yourself a process that's uncomfortable but effective. You owe yourself results, not reasons. Let go of the plans that were protecting your image. Make space for the ones that transform your life. That's when everything starts to shift. That's when the days start counting. That's when you stop hoping and start becoming. Chapter 9. Create systems that expose laziness fast. You can tell a lot about someone by how fast their systems reveal the truth. Not what they say, not what they post, what they actually do. Day by day. And one of the fastest ways to know whether someone is serious or just pretending is to look at the structure around their actions. Most people don't lack ambition. They lack systems that make laziness impossible to hide. Laziness isn't always about doing nothing. Sometimes it's disguised as busyness. Sometimes it's hidden in long to-do lists with no follow-through. Sometimes it shows up in endless preparation with no movement. But regardless of the form it takes, laziness thrives in vague systems. If there are no triggers, no deadlines, no reviews, then laziness can sit quietly inside your day and no one will ever see it, including you. That's why you need systems that expose it fast, not to judge yourself. Not to punish yourself, but to stop wasting time. Because the longer laziness hides, the deeper it becomes. It turns into routine, and routine turns into identity. Before you know it, you're calling yourself unmotivated when really you just had no structure holding you to your word. A strong system tells the truth. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't listen to excuses. It doesn't give you extra time because you were tired. It just shows what's been done and what hasn't. That kind of clarity can feel uncomfortable, but it's the kind of discomfort that leads to growth. One of the first systems you need is simple. Schedule your work. Don't leave tasks floating in your mind. Don't say sometime this week. Pick the time. Set it. Lock it in. When the time comes, you either show or you don't. There's no confusion, no blurred line. You either respect your schedule or you avoid it. That alone exposes your patterns quickly. Another important system is tracking. Write down what you actually did today, not what you planned to do, what got finished, what moved forward, what stayed stuck. Use a notebook, a whiteboard, an app. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you can see it. Because when you look at the week and realize you've been saying you're busy, but have no proof of progress, the illusion ends. People avoid systems because they want to avoid pressure. But the lack of pressure is why nothing changes. A well-built system applies the right kind of pressure. It pushes you to be honest. It creates anti-motility without needing anyone else to check in on you. And once that honesty becomes normal, your discipline grows. Start using time blocks. Break your day into sections. Decide what happens in each one. If your system is work whenever I feel like it, then your output will match that chaos. But if you've decided that from 9 to 11, you work on one clear thing, there's nowhere for laziness to hide. You either engage or you don't. And if you don't, you see the consequences immediately. No hiding, no pretending. Create end-of-day reviews. Take 5 minutes each night and ask, did I move closer to what matters? Did I waste time? Did I allow distractions? If the answers are hard to face, don't run. That's the point. That's your feedback. Systems don't protect your feelings. They reflect your choices. Another powerful system is weekly scoring. Rank your effort from 1 to 10. Not based on how busy you were, but based on how focused you were, based on how often you followed through. This scoring will feel raw, but over time, it tells a story. You'll see trend. You'll catch slumps before they become setbacks. You'll notice patterns of avoidance that you used to excuse away. The goal isn't to eliminate all laziness. It's to make it obvious. Because once it's obvious, it can't survive. You can lie to yourself in your thoughts. You can't lie when the structure reveals the truth. When your tasks don't get done, when your goals stay on paper, when your habits don't improve, that kind of feedback stings, but it also wakes you up. Make your environment part of the system. Keep your tools visible. Keep your tasks visible. Don't let your goals disappear into closed tabs and hidden folders. Visibility creates pressure. Pressure invites action. When your mind is constantly reminded of what matters, you make different decisions. Laziness loves comfort. It loves silence. It loves softness. Systems that expose it do the opposite. They bring your behavior into the light. They create noise where there used to be excuses. They hold you to your standards. Even on days when you feel off, that's where discipline is formed. Not in perfect moods, but in imperfect moments where you still decide to show up. If you don't have a system, your days are being shaped by impulse. That means emotion decides your effort. That means circumstances shape your progress. That's unstable. That's exhausting. Systems remove the guesswork. They give you a rhythm. They give you something to return to when life gets messy. And life will get messy. You need systems. Not only when things are going wrong, but especially when they're going right. Because success makes people soft. It makes you think you don't need the structure anymore. But the moment you drop the system, the laziness creeps back in. That's why high performers don't rely on motivation. They rely on process. Set alarms that mean something. Not just to wake up, but to start tasks, to end tasks, to review progress. Attach behavior to the clock. That rhythm creates urgency, and urgency breaks through resistance. Limit options. Don't start your day by asking what to do. Decide the night before. Systems should remove decisions, not create more. If you're thinking too much, you're already behind. Simple lock-in plans win. Not fancy setups. Just clear action tied to time. Create consequences. If you miss a commitment, make it hurt. Not through guilt, but through awareness. Missed workouts. Add 1. Missed writing time. Subtract phone time. Small penalties keep you sharp. They remind you that action matters. Use checklists with timestamps. Don't just check a box right when you finished it. That alone will expose your pace. It shows how long things really take. It shows where your time is bleeding. And once you know, you can adjust. You're not here to manage comfort. You're here to build results. Systems give you the truth early so you don't have to face regret later. Build ones that make laziness loud, that make excuses obvious, that don't give you space to hide. Because what you can see you can fix, and what you fix, you can grow from. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to work 16 hours a day, but you do need to face your effort honestly. That starts with designing your life in a way that calls you out before failure does. Create systems that show you the gap between who you are and who you said you'd be, and then close it one focused day at a time. Chapter 10. Redesign your plans to demand action. You've made plans before. Maybe you wrote them down. Maybe you kept them in your head. Maybe you laid them out over coffee thinking this time it would be different. But the truth is, most plans fail. Not because they're too ambitious, but because they don't demand action. They're passive. They allow delay. They offer options instead of instructions. And you follow them with the same energy they were written in. Hopeful, vague plans are not meant to comfort you. They're meant to challenge you. A plan that does not force movement is not a real plan. It's just wishful thinking arranged in nice sentences. If your plans make you feel safe but don't make you move, you're not planning for progress. You're planning to protect your comfort. That has to change. Redesign your plans so that they leave no room for hesitation. Replace try to with do. Replace if possible with by this date. Replace work on with complete. Make every part of your plan clear, focused, time-bound, and uncomfortable. You should feel some resistance when you read it. If there's no resistance, there's no transformation. Stop building flexible timelines. Stop giving yourself unlimited space. Movement happens when the window is tight, when the options are few, when you know what needs to happen, and when it's supposed to be done. Plans must have deadlines that are specific and visible. Without them, you'll drift, and drift leads to delay, then guilt, then inaction. Your plans should start with now. Not next month. Not after things calm down. Not once you feel more ready. Start with what you can do today. Plans that begin with someday will always stay there. Break them into small tasks. Yes, but those tasks must land on the calendar, not in a journal that nobody checks. Scheduling is the signal that action matters. It puts pressure where it belongs, on your effort, not on your emotions. A redesigned plan must speak in behavior, not concept. Don't plan to be healthier. Plan to run at 7 a.m. on Monday. Prepare your meals at 6 p.m. and sleep by 10 o'clock. Don't plan to grow your business. Plan to reach out to 10 people by noon. Record your product video by Friday and review sales weekly. You need to write your plans in verbs you can measure, not ideas you can admire. Most people plan based on how they want to feel. That's not a plan, that's a hope. You need to plan based on what must be done. Whether you feel like it or not, emotion is temporary. Discipline is built. The more action your plan requires, regardless of your mood, the more powerful your results will become. Add friction to delay. Make procrastination painful, not comfortable. If your plan allows you to skip a day without noticing, you've already lost. Your system should trigger alarms when effort is missing. Daily check-ins, accountability partners, task timers, visual tracking. These tools are not accessories. They're the framework of real momentum. Review your plans weekly and ask, what did I finish? Not what did I work on? That language matters. Completion is the only metric that counts. If your plans don't aim for completion, they will tolerate laziness. And laziness loves ambiguity. Action lives in clarity. Your plan should ask something from you every single day. It doesn't have to be massive. It just has to be deliberate. When there are days that carry no weight, that carry no progress, they turn into weeks of distraction. That's how years are lost. One forgettable day at a time. Build plans that eliminate the option to retreat. Burn the backup plan. Stop writing escape hatches into your own process. If your goal is to build something meaningful, treat it like it matters. Treat it like something other people depend on. Treat it like something you would fight to protect. Plans should not just reflect what you want. They should reveal who you are becoming. If your plan is written for your current comfort level, it will never bring out your next level of growth. Design your plan for the version of you who finishes things. Then meet that standard. Every time you do, you also need to build plans that get tested fast. If you can't tell whether it's working by the end of the week, it's not a plan, it's a theory. Real plans are built on action loops. You try, you measure, you adjust, you repeat. The feedback cycle should be short. Plans that hide from reality don't last. Remove any part of your plan that exists to make you feel productive without forcing real output. Be ruthless with it. Get honest about the fake tasks you keep repeating just to feel like you're working. If it doesn't push a result forward, cut it out. Business is the mask that laziness wears. Make your plan visible on the wall, on your phone, on your desktop. Don't tuck it away where you forget it. Visibility creates pressure. You should see it and feel something. You should know at a glance where you're winning and where you're hiding. If it's not visible, it's not guiding your behavior. Plans should also include consequences. If you don't do what you said, what happens? Most people build plans without accountability, which means the plan has no teeth, without stakes. Behavior doesn't change. Even small consequences make a difference. Missed a writing session, canceled an hour of leisure, skipped your workout, add one tomorrow. This isn't about guilt. It's about cause and effect. If you really want to grow, give your plan to someone else and let them track your consistency, not your ideas, your actions. Let someone reflect back what's happening. People avoid this because it's uncomfortable. But that discomfort is exactly why it works. The moment you know someone else is watching, you raise your standard. Plans should also build identity, not just outcome. When you plan, ask what kind of person follows this. What does this plan say about who I'm becoming? If the answer is unclear, the motivation won't last. Make your plan reflect values. Integrity, grit, focus, ownership. When your plan aligns with your values, it becomes personal. You stop negotiating with it. You follow it because not following it would feel like betrayal. Redesigning your plan isn't a one-time decision. It's a habit. Every week, look at what failed. Look at what worked. Look at what worked. Look at what we avoided. Then make changes. Most people fail because they never adapt. They keep using the same structure that didn't work last month. You're not meant to repeat failure. You're meant to study it. Stop overcomplicating it. A good plan doesn't need to be fancy. It needs to be used. Don't aim for perfect. Aim for useful. Aim for honest. Aim for something that makes you do what you usually avoid. That's where the shift happens. Not in the planning session, but in the action it forces. Your plan should not be comfortable. It should make you move. It should make you act. It should stretch you just enough that you grow. Not so much that you break, but enough that you evolve. That's the balance. That's the goal. So tear up the plans you made just to feel good. Toss out the plans that gave you space to quit. Erase the ones that made you look productive but never asked you to show proof. Write new ones, stronger ones, simpler ones, ones that you wake up and follow because you know exactly what needs to happen next. Redesign your plans to demand action because action is what changes you. Not plan, not thinking, not hoping, doing. That's how you build the life you say you want.